Well, hello to people, and if you're brand new to the channel, I make weekly videos talking about being autistic from my experiences. So if that sounds interesting to you, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. It just lets you know when I upload to the channel, uploading the video like this, where today we're going to be talking about executive dysfunction, what it's all about, and just some ways to help if someone is experiencing executive dysfunction. So to be able to help someone with executive dysfunction, I think the best place to start off with is given an overall rounded view of what executive functioning is. And what is executive function, you might ask? Well, basically it's a broad set of skills, cognitive, mental abilities, skills that someone has in order for them to manage their own well-being. And executive functioning is also to do with being able to set goals and finding ways to achieve those goals through planning and organization. Really, the term executive function is such a massive topic that I'm not really able to go into massive depth about it. I'm just giving you the basic linear idea of it. But executive functioning as a term is an umbrella term for multiple things, which basically describe how to manage day-to-day living and how you organize your time and how you organize your life and yourself. And basically executive dysfunction, which is what this video is about, is basically the difficulties in actually being able to function with those executive functions, if that makes sense. So basically it's the opposite of executive functioning. But just to be perfectly clear here, executive dysfunction isn't unique to autism. It can widely appear in people who have ADHD, learning disabilities, but also brain injuries as well as strokes. Executive dysfunction can appear. But just to go into the areas of executive dysfunction which some people might experience, some of these, all of these, one or two of these, but I'm going to go into each one in detail and just talk about them from my own point of view. But if you have any experience with any of these areas of executive dysfunction, let me know down below. So one of the areas of executive dysfunction could be intuition, so starting a project or starting a task, or being able to come up with a solution to an issue that you've run into purely because you just don't know how to fix the issue, which comes under problem solving skills. And for me, I have to be honest here, I don't necessarily have issue with starting a task, but if there's a problem with something, the idea of coming up with a solution, it doesn't come very naturally to me. I pretty much follow other people's suggestions. Another area of executive dysfunction could be inhibition, so basically not being able to stop a behavior at an appropriate time, and also having the difficulty to not act out impulsively. So you might be in a situation and instead of thinking, oh, what should I do here, you go into that situation just head first and just act in an impulsive way or a not so rational way. Another area can be emotional control, so basically having difficulty in managing your own emotional responses to situations that arise. For me, if I'm angry about something, you're gonna know I'm angry about something. It's not something I can just hide. Another area is shifting, and this is the difficulty in moving from task to task to task, and also just being flexible generally. And this is something I just struggle with outright. If I'm doing something, I am concentrating on that thing, I am doing that thing, and I'm giving that thing 100% of my attention. However, if someone over here, say, I don't know, say Natalie Portman wants me to be a Romeo in the latest version of Romeo and Juliet, I'm not thinking about that. I don't really care about that. I'm thinking on this thing. For me, it's kind of hard to switch off from the thing I was doing to go and do that with Natalie Portman, even though Natalie Portman is an utter ledge. And this is something that is quite common within autism, I've noticed, and not just in myself, but other people as well. Another area in which people can find difficult is working memory, and I can flat out say I have the worst working memory in the world. It is abysmal. Basically, working memory is, holding something in your head to relay to someone else or do that task. It is the one side of executive dysfunction which is really impractical, because not just for my job but also for this, if someone tells me something, it's kind of important that I actually remember to relay the information or just to do the task. Because if someone tells me to do something they really need to make it clear that they're actually telling me that they need me to do this. Otherwise, it just goes in that ear, out the other. But planning and organisation, if someone is experiencing executive dysfunction, they may have difficulty in planning for future events or planning to do something or being able to just organise their space. So their workspace at work could be an utter tip. They could have paper coming up to here, which sometimes my workstation is like that, I can't lie. But it's also to do with like future oriented plans, like not being able to plan for the future, if that makes sense. Now, next area comes into organisation. However, it's more of the organisation of things rather than plans. So it could be organising your workspace so you're able to retrieve things a lot more efficiently, or organising your files on your computer so you can find the exact thing that you need at a specific time. And then another area of executive dysfunction which can cause some issues for some people is self-monitoring. And this can be the difficulty in recognizing how you are feeling in relation to other people. If someone is experiencing executive dysfunction with all of the things we've just talked about, you know, they might not understand how their actions affect other people and actually see the error of their ways in what they're doing or saying. Now, these areas of executive dysfunction, you know, if someone is experiencing them, it can really be impactful on the way they live their life. But one of the things that we can do, or you can do yourself if you're experiencing this, is setting reminders using lists, charts, alarms, basically anything to remind you of, you know, whatever you need to do. So this could be a task or just remembering to do that task, you know, just setting reminders, alarms, whatever it is that you need to do can really help in that particular area, especially for future planning. I think for me, I use reminders quite a lot just to give me a prompt to remember, heck, I need to go to the doctors because heck, I need to just make sure I'm healthy, I'm not dying on the inside, even though I feel like I'm dying on the inside quite a lot. Another thing could be asking for written instructions. I do like, you know, having someone send me a text of what's been said that I need to remember for a later date. It just makes things a lot more clearer to understand, and also I can refer back to it if I forget. And for me, if you experience executive dysfunction in this area of not being able to remember or retain information, I think this might be quite useful. Another thing that could help, say if you're doing a massive project, I don't know, you're going to the moon. As a really ridiculous example, you know, how do you get to the moon? It's not a case of just going up there, you know, there's multiple things, and for some people who experience executive dysfunction, this can be difficult. So break down each individual task that you need to do in order for you to get to the moon. So basically it becomes a lot more manageable and you can manage each individual section. And you know, if you're having reminders for what tasks that you need to do at certain times and things, it can just keep you on track. Another thing that could be helpful, maybe set reminders for transitions. So if something's going to change, or you know, if you know you need to be elsewhere, maybe set a reminder or a prompt just to let you know that a change is going to happen. You know, we can't always predict when things are going to change, but I think, you know, wherever possible, I think it's important to just prompt yourself. Make sure you're able to prepare yourself as much as possible for that change to happen. And then another tip, I think, if you're able to, take a breather, step back from a situation before you act impulsively, which again is a part of executive dysfunction where someone can act out impulsively or in an emotional way which isn't necessarily right, or it's just not correct. And for me, we've all done this. I've done this where, you know, I've seen something and gone, right, we need to sort this out now. Obviously it's difficult, I think, in the moment to try to rationalize what you're doing, but you know, if you think, oh god, I really need to sort this out, you know, before you go into it, take a breather, just go 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, something like that, and then just try to think, okay, what's the best way of dealing with this, and then going in with a much cooler head and maybe being able to solve that situation or issue in a much more calmer way. But what are your tips for people who are experiencing executive dysfunction? Let us all know down below. But if you enjoyed the video and you want to share it, please do leave a big thumbs up for me down below. Subscribe if you want to see more. Check out my videos on screen now down below. Just thank you so much for watching. Stay you, stay indie. I hope you have a great day, and I hope to see you next time.